Okay. It's in 3, 2, 1, go, and after the go, okay?
After go, we clap. Got it.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah, of course.
Yes. Cullen.
Don't
What?
start. Don't you
Okay.
start. You do this every podcast.
Okay.
I literally said all right.
Okay. 3, 2, 1, go. Hi, everybody, and welcome to episode 1 of Burnout Culture. The industry sucks, and so do we. My name is Kazuma Hashimoto, one of 3 fantastic hosts.
I'm GC. I am the second host and better than the third one.
Hi, I'm the third host, and welcome to our 6th first episode.
So I was actually talking about that with my friends because while we were in the middle of our week and everything, I for a late birthday present, I made everybody sit down and watch Sharp Objects with me, all 8 episodes in one sitting. And I kept talking about you guys because I can't shut the fuck up about you two.
Aww.
Yeah, I'm always oh yeah, my friends GC and Cullen, we're having a podcast.
I appreciate the grind that you're always trying to promote the podcast at any social setting. That's good.
Oh, I just like talking about it because you guys are really fun, and I'm always oh man, I hope I get to go to MagFest someday and meet you guys in person. Again, Cullen, and first time for GC. I keep forgetting that we met Cullen in person.
I'm elusive.
Yeah.
I can only be met on boats. That's the thing.
Yeah, only on boats.
Near a body of water. I don't exist outside of that.
Yeah, we can't take you to Texas.
No, I'd dry up.
Cullen's a
are you a
mermaid.
sponge?
I'm a
He's
mermaid.
a mermaid. Jake, please draw Cullen as a merman.
No, Jake, do not draw me as a merman. Well, okay, we'll see how this podcast goes, but ideally you draw me as a Sonic character.
Yeah.
I would accept merman with a Sonic t-shirt, though.
Okay, cool. But yeah, I was really gassing you guys up, and I was talking about how every episode is our first episode, and that's kind of our comedic bit. So yeah, if you're listening to this for the first time, this is our first episode of many first episodes.
Yeah.
Please enjoy.
Yep. So always feel they're however many episodes in. I don't know. I might miss anything. No worries. You can always start this episode first because it's always the first episode.
Yeah, you're never gonna miss anything.
Just for you, it'll be the first episode. One day we might get the courage to make a second episode, but I don't know. That sounds pretty scary. I'd rather live in the endless now of first episode.
That would require consistency, which is a terrifying concept.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yeah. But speaking of talking about the podcast and watching Sharp Objects, that kind of transitioned into notable media that we've engaged with this week. And for me, it was rewatching Sharp Objects, which I would suggest nobody watch or read without major trigger warnings and content warnings, and playing a lot of Diablo with you guys.
Yeah, we have been playing a lot of Diablo.
I don't know if I'd say we have been playing a lot of Diablo. Unfortunately, one of us was not able to commit to as much Diablo, even though he wanted to. And that makes it sound like a subtweet, but no, I'm talking about me.
Yeah. We can always play more in the future. It's on
I'd love
Game Pass.
to.
Yeah, you were having fun.
Here's the problem. I have really bad ADHD brain. So I started playing Diablo and I was getting really invested. We played with our friend Davon, who, if you haven't listened to our past first episodes, is cool. That's it. He's very cool, but he was playing Diablo with us and we were all having a really fun time. And I was getting into the swing of the way our dynamic worked as we all played Diablo. And I wanted to play more, but just my brain just would be I can only play Diablo 4 if these 3 people are here with me and all our schedules need to line up. And so I haven't been playing as much Diablo 4, but I have been playing a lot of Diablo 2.
Yeah. So Jake is actually the same way, Cullen. He really likes Diablo, but he can't actually play Diablo 3. He falls asleep playing Diablo 3.
Mm-hmm.
And with 4, he's I want to have multiple people playing it. If we can't arrange that, then he doesn't play it.
I thought you were going to say yeah, Jake's the same way. He really likes Diablo, but he wants to play with Davon.
No, he just likes hanging out with all of you. So whenever it's like I'm like, I want to play Diablo. He's like, oh, are the guys around? And I'm like, you're in Europe and they have jobs. um, so
Burdened by employment.
yeah, burdened by the need to pay rent.
Oh,
You know, tax season is like closing up. Well, obviously, because you both
Tomorrow,
pay your
right?
taxes. Yeah, but like as of recording right now, tomorrow is the cutoff for tax season, and oh my god! Shout out to this unknown YouTuber, GC Vasquez, for helping me out with my taxes this year. At least saved my ass.
yeah. I hear that guy's a fraud, though. You should be careful.
Oh, okay. I
Is
hear
he
he
a
has.
fraud?
I hear he has freaky opinions about Yakuza 3.
Yeah.
Wait, did someone really come at you for your opinions of Yakuza 3?
No,
Oh,
I
no.
did just now.
Oh, okay. Okay.
I'm starting new beef.
Okay.
GC's had the same old beef for too long. I'm starting new beef.
New beef.
beef.
I love new beef.
New beef.
It's better than old beef.
I actually made new beef yesterday.
What?
Yeah, like genuinely, like I went to the store and I got some beef.
Oh my god, I was like, who did you start shit with, Cullen?
I can't think of any beef that happened in the last 2 weeks, honestly. Like, I can't think of a single thing that happened in the last 2 weeks that could be considered beef between me and other people at all, if you really must know. But no, I went to the store yesterday and I got some beef, like some ribeye.
What'd you make?
And what I did with that was I took it and I cooked it and then I put it in ramen.
Oh.
Because I have been starting to watch Delicious in Dungeon with my girlfriend. So we watched episode 10 and then smash cut to me in my car driving us to the store at 10:30 saying, beef, 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 beef. I need some beef, beef, beef. And then I cooked myself some steak. I might send it. Actually, no, you're both in the same, my main personal server, so you guys can see the steak I cooked. Anyone else, sorry, listener, you don't get to see the beef. But just imagine it was really good.
Like very succulent.
No, it sure was $8 half an inch steak.
No, it was succulent, Cullen.
I mean, I sucked it, but it wasn't Lent.
You heard it here first. Cullen sucks beef.
I suck beef. I
Beef
suck
out
big
culture.
I beefed out. Yeah, no, let's fucking just change the podcast name. Beef out culture.
That's our episode title. Beef out culture.
What the fuck were we talking about?
Diablo.
Media.
Diablo. Yeah. Somehow Diablo to beef.
Hey, Diablo 4 is good.
It is good.
Yeah, it is. It's very fun. And they're making really big adjustments to it next season.
Yeah, that's what I was hearing. I didn't know the season was so long. Like season of the what is it now? Season of the Construct.
So the reason it's so long is because they're doing that huge overhaul. So they were like, hey, we're extending it out a month. But because of that, a lot of people are going back and playing Diablo 3 because Diablo 3 also got a major update, which means so they're basically getting rid of the limitations of the Kanai's Cube, if you remember that, GC.
Barely.
So you could basically extract legendary aspects and put them in Kanai's Cube to have them as passives, even if you're not wearing that piece of gear.
Oh.
So they uncapped it, so you can now stack 3 of the same aspect if you want.
Oh, they're going hyper mode with it. They're just
Yeah.
stacking. Oh, yeah. Maybe I'll go back and play some more Diablo 3 now.
You know, that's just the nature of the game now. Like, it's interesting because Diablo 4 is a lot of fun, but whenever Diablo 4 gets boring, people just go play Diablo 3 instead. And I wonder how, like, if that's actually like, cannibalizing their audience to like any like significant degree.
True.
Yeah, you'll have like some of the biggest content creators for Diablo 4 just playing Diablo 3 and just ignoring Diablo 4. Just wait till you get to Diablo 3, Cullen. Number go up real good in that one.
I do like number go up. I'm waiting for the Switch version to go on sale, and I'm just gonna grab that one.
No, play on PC with us.
Yeah, but I have other friends who want to play on Switch, and Switch would be such a silly choice to pick.
PC.
But Switch would be such a silly choice to pick.
Double dip.
Double dip? Blizzard doesn't deserve that. Even if, like...
I don't think they have cross-save for D3 either. If they don't, then just get it on one platform.
Maybe.
Yeah.
That's what I have to say about that. Oh, we have homework to talk about. I mean, I guess we did talk about Diablo.
Yeah. And I mean, I've So I was good. I did my homework, but I also read an entire book in one sitting yesterday.
Ooh.
Kind of cringe.
300 pages. How? Okay, yes. It's very cringe of me to read. Kids, you heard it first here.
Haha, literate.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I sat down and I read an entire book in like one sitting, and I feel like I should mention that because I feel like maybe the book is good if I'm doing that. So you remember the author that wrote Babel, right, GC?
Yes.
R.F. Kuang. She wrote this book called Yellowface, which is about a white woman stealing her dead Chinese friend's manuscript for her next book and writing it off as her own work.
Oh my god.
And it's a thriller.
That sounds like a really good premise for a book. It's only 300 pages?
It's only 300 pages and it's a suspense thriller.
I got to read that.
It's if you've ever been online, listeners, and engaged in Twitter discourse or any kind of discourse or keep up with, like reaction videos to media that's released, this is a really heavy part of it in which the author, because she has like stolen her friend's work and then gets accused of plagiarizing, right? Then obsessively checks Twitter and YouTube and sees what people are saying about it. It feels like RF Kuang like went out there and was just looking and like reading comments and shit. And I think both of you would enjoy. I think you would like it too, Cullen.
Oh.
Just because it's like very much about the creator and like content sphere.
Okay.
Yeah,
I
it's
don't read
very
no books
interesting.
usually, but who knows? Maybe
This
this will be
is
secret gas.
This is good. Also kind of fucked up. It's a fictional tell-all about the book publishing industry.
I love that. That's meta as hell.
Yeah. So, yeah, good book. I suggest anyone here listening to this, if you like books, go read it, especially if you like thrillers. It's not like Gone Girl, I swear to God, or Sharp Objects. No content warnings with this one. Just, white woman, being racist and being very evasive about her cultural identity to sell a book. But yeah, that was all I did. Oh, I went to Universal Studios and I like ate everything. Oh, GC, because you go to theme parks
Yes, I do. I'm
and
a
you do
big theme
too,
park
Cullen.
junkie.
I do not go to theme parks actually.
Oh my god. Okay, so we got to get you both. Well, no, we should go visit GC and do the theme parks down there. But I went to Universal with my friends, the same friends I saw Sharp Objects with. We did Sharp Objects and we did Universal the next day as a palate cleanser. The day we went, there were no lines, so we rode every single ride at the park, bar one.
Sick. I love a good dead theme park day.
Empty theme parks go crazy.
Yeah, they sure do. But yeah, that's my notable media: book, theme park, Diablo, and homework, which is the Thaumaturge.
How do you feel about the
Oh.
Thaumaturge? Let's just get into it.
Thom sesh.
So I think it's a very interesting game conceptually. I think they do a lot of really neat things with how you discover clues.
Yeah.
It's not anything particularly revolutionary, I think, because it feels like a lot of interesting ideas from other games sort of like pushed into one. I only played about, I think, like 2 hours of it. So I got past the tutorial and I got into I think it's Warsaw, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I got into Warsaw. What really stood out to me was the really interesting localization, and by interesting, I mean you can definitely tell that there needed to be like a second pass by native English speakers
Mm-hmm.
because it's very much like I was reading it and I was like, oh, this is definitely how a lot of like my European friends who don't have English as their native language or even use it as like a dominant language speak. That immediately stuck out to me. It's nothing that's like it doesn't destroy the game. I just think it's very just like, oh, this is very, like this is a neat little indie game with a interesting localization.
Yeah.
Yep.
For me, I felt
Yeah.
it was a little bit jarring, but it's the sort of thing where like it's not enough to get me to stop playing, nor was it like atrocious or I wouldn't even call it bad.
Yeah.
Like I can't even call it like that. It's just one of those things that you pick up on, especially if you're someone who speaks multiple languages. Like
Mhm.
at least in my opinion, if you speak multiple languages, you'll pick up very often when someone uses a phrase in English that doesn't sound right, and your brain almost knows that it's like, oh, this is something different in their native language. Like this is an expression in someone's native language that doesn't translate to English very well, or
Yes.
this is someone trying to use an English expression, but they're translating it like in their head back into their language to say it.
Mm-hmm.
Because that's kind of like sort of like how like when you learn a different language, like that's sort of how like you speak it. You translate it into your language and then back into the language that you're going to say something into, or you sort of like you in your brain you calculate like how it's supposed to sound in the language that you're trying to say it in, and sometimes that can come out like a little like messed up, and like the game is it has a lot of that in it.
Oh yeah, it's very much so. Just an example I'll give people about what you're talking about, GC, is like a lot of Europeans will say self-made in English as opposed to handmade or homemade.
Yeah.
They'll say self-made instead, and that's just like a thing. And I'm just like, oh, you mean like handmade? They're like, yeah, 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 I mean that. And it's like, okay, so self-made is both homemade or handmade or whatever. That's like their like how they well Germans, I'll say Germans, do that where they're like, oh yeah, my self-made cosplay or my self-made jacket, and it's like, oh yeah, so you handmade that, right? And you get a lot of that in the Thaumaturge, things like that, where it's sort of like, okay, so this is what they're trying to potentially translate into, and this is what we got as like an end result. But overall, really interesting game. The combat system is really fucking cool, if not a bit slow.
Yeah.
So I understand what you said, Cullen, last week when we were talking about that.
It's just like it's good. It's just a bit weird in ways that I don't really like.
Things feel a little blocky in the combat. A lot of like the decision making and stuff. Like even the decision making when you're taking your turn, when you're picking an action, there's so much that every action does that you can't like I went back and I played more Thaumaturge to be ready for this conversation, and
Mhm.
I realized that all of the abilities have really long descriptions. And what I realized what was happening is that I couldn't remember what any of my abilities actually did, and I was constantly rereading what they did in order to like make a decision. So combat feels slow on top of like sort of the blocky animations, because it really it has like stilted animations in the combat, but like on top of that, and that's usually fine. But on top of that, you're not making decisions quickly, so everything feels like it's moving in molasses.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I will say, like, after playing ahead through like the opening to Warsaw, like the game does pick up, and it finally like let me go and let me go do whatever I want, and it gave me a timed quest, and then on my way to that timed quest, I ran into another side quest, and that was like a murder, and it was like, okay, go solve the murder with your thaumaturge powers. And I was like, oh, sick, cool. What's the murderer? And it's like, oh, this is actually a serial killer. He's called the Fisherman. He puts a hook into people's mouths, and he throws them into the river when he's done with them. And I was like, oh, that's really sick and cool and whatever. And it's like, yeah. And then the locals think that it's the artist that does it. And then you got to go investigate the artist's home and find out to see if there's anything there that might lead you to that conclusion. And it opened up in a way that was like really satisfying. So I actually might go back and play more of the Thaumaturge now that I'm past that sort of slow opening, because I thought the prologue was decent, and then I thought the opening to it was kind of like eh. The game is very much trying to have a story about the Russian occupation of Poland,
Mhm.
and no disrespect to if that's the point and that they want to have that discussion. I think the thaumaturge aspects of the thaumaturge are so
Mhm.
much more interesting than the way they've framed the Russian occupation of Poland, that while I'm playing, I just want to do more thaumaturge things, and I just want to
Yeah.
they've made such an interesting like concept, or they're using such an interesting premise that it outshines the deeper storytelling elements that I think they want to get across. Like I'm obsessed with learning more about the world of thaumaturgy, and I'm like so interested in that everything else kind of fades into the background for me. And I don't think that was like I don't think they wanted that. Like I think they wanted people to be equally interested in the other stuff with Rasputin and whatnot.
Mhm.
But like it's there's a, at least for me, there's an imbalance there.
Yeah, I agree. I don't think the Well, I haven't gotten that far. I was like, oh, I met like the revolutionary who was like hiding like bullets in her undergarments, and I was like, that's fucking sick.
She was so cool. That's about where I stopped, and I was like, oh, I like her, and then that's the last thing I have in my mind.
Yeah, it's so it. I'm someone that really likes political intrigue, and I love like historical historical adaptations, historical fantasy, anything like that. So I'm interested to see where it goes. But if GC, like what you're saying, like it's not as strong as the more like occult aspects of the game. That's really sad. But I was also seeing if anybody was like writing about this game, like any Eastern European critics, and I haven't really found anything yet. At least not in English. So I'm gonna try to find more stuff about how Eastern Europeans and specifically Polish people are like how they feel about this.
How they
Yeah,
fucking with it.
yeah.
I really gotta play more. I will probably put it on the backlog snugly for now, and then
hmm
circle back to it later. But it
Okay.
is a very neat game, and you do have to kind of accept and appreciate it, like being a smaller, like budgeted title with a lot of ambition. But I think like at the time, I just it wasn't the game I was looking for, but I like it. Maybe we will have a Thaumaturge discussion every single episode.
Every first episode, the
Every first
Thaumaturge.
episode, a new Thom.
Yeah. It'll keep me from talking about Final Fantasy XIV, which we'll talk about way later in the podcast, I think. So,
Yeah.
yeah. But yeah, so Cullen, you talked a little bit about your homework. Do you want to give us a clearer impression?
I'll be entirely honest with you, Kazuma.
Yes.
I don't know if I can do that. I don't know if anything actually stuck in my brain.
Because you're Sonic killed right now.
No. Don't spoil that.
Okay.
I don't know if anything stuck in my brain from our Diablo sessions because oh my god, I was just pressing buttons.
Is that good?
Oh, very good.
Okay.
Here's the thing about Diablo for people who have not played these games. They are games where you mash buttons or click that mouse, and then you get numbers and you get gear and you get loot, and then you go run and keep doing that, and you just keep. It is a gameplay loop that is meant to just almost be brainless in a way.
It's the progenitor of gacha games.
Yes.
Except
very
you
much.
pay one price and the number goes up indefinitely for as long as you want to play it.
Mm-hmm.
I really wish I could say something like meaningful about our time, but goddamn, was it just fun. It was just fun to turn my brain off and play this game with my bros. Like that was it. That's all I thought about. I didn't think about anything else. I was literally just like turn my brain off, mash the X or A button or whatever the button is, just keep mashing, and then run to the next thing. Kill. That's Diablo. And they do it so good.
Mm-hmm.
They do it exquisitely.
And the cherry on top for you is that every 15 minutes, a lady that wants to kill you shows up.
Yes, and I went, oh, hello, lady who wants to kill me. Hello, beautiful lady. Hi, ma'am. Kill me. Kill me, please. Kill me good. Kill me now. And she doesn't. And then I go, oh. But I will say, I think in between episodes, a video came out from Noah Gervais Cadwell. Maybe I got the order of that mixed up, but I'm a big fan of his stuff. And he went through like all of the Diablo games in like a 4-hour video. And so I got to actually see like Diablo 1, Diablo 3 to kind of fill in the blanks and just see like how the series progressed. Mm-hmm. And I really do appreciate how Diablo 4 is trying to aesthetically call back to 2 with a very like grimy, dark aesthetic. Compared to 3 is a bit more like colorful of its era, like Blizzard style. I think Diablo 4 might be one of the best looking games Blizzard has ever put out.
It's a really pretty game.
It is so nice to look at.
As someone that has played through like every Diablo game basically on release, because my dad was a big piece. We had this conversation about Sonic, and you were like, "How'd you avoid this?" And I was like, "PC game." I feel like everybody looks upon Diablo 3 really unfavorably because of the way it looks. And I will be honest, when I was playing Diablo 4 for review, that really grimy color palette was starting to make me fall asleep. Because Diablo 2 does have color, you just have to get past that initial like area, and then the game is like a lot of browns, like oversaturated browns and reds and things like that. So I think when people are talking about the visual appeal of Diablo 2, they don't really remember the rest of the game.
Yeah.
as being colorful. But I think it really helps is that they brought back like I think one of the principal like concept artists back for Diablo 4. But I also actually interviewed the lead art designer for D4, and a lot of their inspiration for that game is like Caravaggio and German expressionist paintings,
Interesting.
which leads to a very it's like dark fantasy, but like a very specific style of dark fantasy.
I quite liked it.
I really want you to play Diablo 3 because I think you would have a lot of fun with Diablo 3. You can do some really nutty shit in Diablo 3
I'm sure I would. It just I just need to get to
on
it.
sale. Yeah.
Yeah, like I'm gonna wait for that to hit on sale, and I'm gonna try to get through 2 and more 4, and then I'll try to go back to the 3 and just see if I vibe with it as much.
But because all of us were playing Diablo 4 together, GC, how was your time in Diablo 4 as someone who has played other Diablo games?
Diablo 4 is really fun, and I'm having a great time with it. It's slower than Diablo 3, or at least slower than I remember Diablo 3 being, and it's not as aggressive. Like, I remember Diablo 3 being like run into way more enemies and like hit a button and everything explodes in one like instant. Diablo 4 is a little bit more meandering's a bad word because meandering implies that it's bad. Like meandering implies a negative connotation, but it's not a negative connotation. You just have to take your time with Diablo 4, and like enemies are actually like they're not twigs that snap under my wrath. They are like they have health bars that last a while, and it takes a while to kill an enemy in Diablo 4. At least it takes more time than in Diablo 3. I could also be conflating these memories with like Torchlight 2, because that's also what I played around that time that I played Diablo 3. But I'm having a good time. I think Diablo 4 is also really interesting from a narrative perspective as well. Like, I think it's really interesting that the entire time I'm playing, I'm supposed to be like, wow, that Lilith sure is evil. But as I keep playing, I'm like, I'm kind of rooting for Lilith on this one. I hate to say it, but they, at least early on in the game, where I'm at now I'm in Act 4 of Diablo now. And by now I'm like, okay, Lilith is bad. Okay. All right, fine. I'll go fight my mom, whatever.
Damn, I gotta kill a bad bitch if I keep playing that game. I might as well just stop playing.
You'll see, Cullen. Yeah.
But like early on, I was like, why am I fighting against Lilith? I mean, she's kind of right. Hey, the angels don't love you, and like you should be free to do whatever you want. I'm like, I mean, yeah, like I'm all for that. Like, why not? What's wrong with that? But yeah, like Diablo 4 has been a good time. I'm having a good time. I've been doing side quests on my own when we're not playing together, and dungeons are cool. I killed the butcher by myself. That was great.
Hell yeah.
That felt great. I had to kite him in a circle, but I did it. Yeah, no, Diablo 4, solid.
Very fun game.
But you also played a sound novel for your homework?
You sure did, GC.
So I guess that is like a good way to transition into that. I played a sound novel called Otogiriso.
Mm-hmm.
The intent was to make me scared because, dear listener, if you don't know, I am a coward.
Baby boy.
I can't play scary games. I tried playing Silent Hill 1. I could not get through the diner in Silent Hill 1. I was too scared.
You couldn't get through the diner?
Yeah, it was too scary.
You made it to the school.
I made it to the school. Okay, fine. Yeah, but I made it there running and crying and shitting my pants and being a little baby.
That's the intended experience.
Yeah. And then, so Cullen made me do that as homework, do the sound novel as homework, because the sound novel is sort of like a horror themed experience. It's a sound novel is basically a visual novel, but they use a lot of noises. And that's Otogiriso in a nutshell. But I streamed it to sort of bolster up some courage. And I'll preface this by saying the stream did not impact my fear one bit. If that thing was going to scare me, it would have. Otogiriso is the funniest video game I've ever played in the last 10 years.
This is why I need to actually play the games I try to assign people to punish them, So this is on me. I did not succeed in my mission, and next time I will give you something actually scary.
Yes. So imagine, if you will, a visual
imagining.
novel with branching paths. By the way, this is Chunsoft's first official game release, Otogiriso. And I don't know if the translation was, it's a fan translated, I played a fan translation. I should also say that. And preface is like my new favorite word. Anyway, I don't know if it was the fan translation. I don't know if maybe, I'm almost certain it might just be written that way. But the game basically has multiple endings, but not just multiple endings, multiple storylines. So there's one consistent factor, and it's you and this girl, and you get stuck inside this mansion. That's it. That is the consistent storyline. Oh, and she has a twin sister, right? In every storyline. And what ends up happening is the storylines are so different and they vary so wildly that the setup for the premise in the sound novel, while serviceable and admittedly did scare me a couple times and made me kind of like freak out, completely falls apart when it hard pivots into one of these storylines. So you're in this mansion and spooky things are happening in the mansion and you're like, oh God, there's something in the tank. Oh, am I going to reach into the tank? No, I'm not going to reach into the tank. Oh, something gurgled at me. Oh, jump scare picture of a mummy. Ah, oh, that's pretty good. Ooh, that suit of armor image scared me. Hey, the noises in this are really scary, whatever. And then suddenly it is like, this is the mansion where the curse about twins who kill their mother lives. And you're like, I'm sorry, can you back that up? And it's like, it's not like, for example, we're all familiar with Fatal Frame, right?
Yes.
And Fatal Frame 2 has a thing about twins, right? I'm right about that, right? That's Fatal Frame 2?
Yes.
Right? And that story sort of talks about a ritual and stuff about that, and like it implies things, and you kind of discover it slowly through learning about where you're at and who these characters are and who the spirits that are haunting you are. Otogiriso doesn't have any of that. It literally just says, like, the mansion starts to talk in the storyline that I got, and it was like, I am the mansion that curses twins to kill their mothers. Rah! It's basically like if like the boogeyman came out and was like, I'm the boogeyman. I come at night when you're not asleep. Booga booga booga. And it was really like, it just completely deflated any of the tension, and the story just like, the pace picks up to a breakneck speed, and you're just doing one thing after another, and then at some point you're sword fighting somebody, and then you're the wall, and then you're not the wall anymore, and then the mansion burns down and you get credits and you're like, what was that? It was hilarious. It was hilarious. Every now and again, the characters, this is probably an issue with the fan translation. So they translated the sounds that characters make in dialogue, but it doesn't come across very smoothly in English. So characters going, I'm going to assume it's like are, or like it's literally just a sound, like it's an onomatopoeia sound that was written into the text. They translated that to oh. The word "oh." So what ends up happening is that the word "oh" shows up every other sentence, and sometimes consecutively in sentences. So what ended up happening is that my brain was like, oh, this game is about two Italian Americans and they're trapped inside a mansion together. And every time a character went, oh, I went, oh, that's a scary suit of armor.
Bada bing.
Who's that knocking on the staircase? Like, it was so funny. And the whole thing, it just, between the translation and the way the game is just written natively, the whole thing just completely pulled me out of it. And I was laughing my ass off the entire time. Thank you for recommending this to me, Cullen. I had a wonderful time. I got scared like one time.
I'll work on it for next time.
It was a treat. It was genuinely a treat to play Otogirisu. I might even go back and play more.
Well, I mean, one of the cool things about those sound novels of that era is like, I guess it just became a bit of a genre staple where every route is just something completely and wildly different.
Mhm.
What I would say is you should definitely check out Radical Dreamers, the Chrono Trigger sound novel.
Yeah.
Where in the same boat, where a lot of like the side routes are just wild and just go off the rails and are completely different genres, which is I think really neat and one of the things I appreciate about the genre, even though there's
Mm.
not consistency between the tone of all the routes. That does have a main route, and then all those side wild stories kind of pop up after that. So I guess you kind of just got like a unrefined version of the genre since it basically started it.
Yeah, like it was the original. So I'm not here to be like that game sucked. I'm here to be like this game is a treat. If you want to go play an old visual novel that has some very rough writing because it was their first one they ever made, and like really get a taste for that era of people just doing whatever the fuck they could when they were making games, go play Otogiriso. Like that was a great time. I'm never going to get over it. I'm never going to get over I am the mansion that curses twins to kill their mother with a sword. That is the line verbatim.
I would simply not enter the mansion if I had a twin.
Mm, that was the other thing.
No, that just seems to be like, if you're a twin, don't go into a mansion. Either it's full
Yeah.
of ghosts, or you're destined to kill your mother.
And don't go there with your twin, or else one of you will become possessed
Yes, and die.
and die.
I don't want to die.
That was the other thing, is like the main characters at no point do you ever have the option to just not go and get like a really short ending. At no point do the characters ever go, let's not go into this mansion, or let's keep walking, or
Or
let's turn around.
leave.
Yeah, let's leave. You know, they never do it.
Uh,
But other than that, I don't have much notable media to talk about this week, except for a very short conversation about Balatro.
Ah,
Aw.
yes.
I bought Balatro. I caved. I bought
Yeah.
Balatro. I played Balatro. Balatro is very neat. I don't see what all the fuss is about.
Okay, so explain Balatro to me as someone who only knows about Balatro as someone like as people have been being like, this is the best game ever, and that's
Poker.
all I know.
It's poker.
It's not even poker.
It's not?
It
That was
uses
someone told me it was
poker.
poker.
It uses poker hands, but it's essentially a card game with a 52 card playing deck, right? And you form poker hands, and those give you points, and you have to hit a certain point threshold within a certain limited number of hands
Okay.
to progress to the next round. And in between rounds, you can acquire Joker cards that add passive abilities to what you're doing. So you can get like each card that you play that counts towards a hand, right? Like let's say I play two pair, right? A pair of 10s and a pair of 4s. You do the math, right? That's 10 plus 10 plus 4 plus 4 plus like another 20 for a two pair hand. So that's like roughly 50 chips
Mm-hmm.
multiplied by 2 because it's two pair. So for 100 chips, and that's 100 chips, and that gets me 100 chips. But I can get a Joker card that gives me plus 50 chips for every even numbered card I use in the winning hand. So suddenly 100 chips becomes 300 chips. And then you just do that, and then the amount of chips you need to pass the round go up as you go on. And you can buy tarot cards to turn certain cards into other things. Like you can give your playing deck special passives as well. You can increase the value of the poker hand by buying planet cards and using them. You can add new cards to your 52 card deck to make it a 53 card deck, a 54 card deck, and so on.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the game. That's it. It's a very simple game. It's really fun, but every time I play maybe one or two runs, and I'm like, oh, okay, like that was neat, that was fun, that killed some time, and then I put it away. I'm really wondering, I don't know if Balatro has like a mobile port, but it's very much that kind of game that you pull out play while you're on the bus or while you're waiting at the doctor's office or something, something really quick and easy. And I don't get what everybody was making a big deal about Balatro. Everybody was like, it was like, oh, you got to play Balatro, man. It's like so addicting and so this. And I think, and this is GC's coming out with a lot of hot takes today. I think those people might want to get themselves checked for gambling addictions or
Oh shit. Okay.
or might want to like slow down with that, because like while I was playing, I was like, if I wasn't a recovering gambling addict, which I am, if I wasn't a recovering gambling addict, I can see how this sort of emulates the ideas behind like playing poker and stuff like that.
Okay.
But it's not poker. Like it's neat. I just like I think a lot of the excitement around it is personally, I think it's a little overblown, and I think the people that are like really into it and like really obsessive about it probably would not do well at a casino.
Interesting. Okay. Now that I know you own it and we have that Steam family share thing going on, I'm probably gonna play it. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
go for it.
I'm gonna give it a shot because again, like everybody's raving about it, and I'm like, but it's just playing cards.
It is a fascinating testament to the fact that we can still make new kinds of games just using a stack of playing cards.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's fascinating to me. Like, from that perspective, I'm like, oh, this is awesome. Somebody took a stack of playing cards and was like, you know what? I'm going to make a game about this. And they made like a unique little game about it. And it's great.
What's that one like card game that's like really spooky and all that stuff that me and VZ were trying to get you on, GC?
Inscription.
Did you ever play that?
No.
It's not even scary.
Well, okay, but this is GC we're talking about.
I wouldn't personally describe it as horror.
It's spooky. You are GC. The premise is that you are literally kidnapped in a cabin and forced to play card games with a dungeon master who is trying to kill you.
Sounds like having to entertain my cousins.
You got some fucked up cousins.
It's made me an interesting man.
But yeah, you should check out Inscription. I think there's probably a bit more going on there that you would probably enjoy, GC.
Sure, yeah. But that was my week, basically. I've been very busy doing other stuff, so I haven't had the time to do a whole lot. I'll probably watch Bravern this week, and on the podcast, nice. I'll talk about Bravern finally.
But speaking of homework that we've done, let's assign some homework. Cullen, why don't you give our little explanation of
we do that at the end of the episode.
We can do that now. Let's do it now.
You do it now? We're doing it now?
Yeah, let's do it now. Let's just bookend homework.
Bookend, all right, fine. So we give ourselves things to do at the end of episodes, typically, so that in the next 2 weeks, we can get a little taste of something new. So we kind of style it around the Fire Emblem weapon triangle, where insert GC explaining Fire Emblem weapon triangle now.
Sword beat axe, axe beat lance, lance beat sword.
Great. Good thing that you did that in post, and it sounded like I said that, GC, and that you totally didn't keep this part of the podcast in. I appreciate that immensely.
Yeah.
So yes, so I'm sword and GC's axe, and wait, no, in this episode, I'm sword and GC's lance and Kazuma's axe.
Yes.
So I have to give Kazuma something to do.
Oh, shit. Do I give you something or GC?
You give GC something.
Okay.
And then GC gives me something. Now the problem is that I assumed we were doing this at the end, so I did not come up with anything yet.
Oh.
Come up with something.
Yeah.
Kazuma, I want you to play Sonic and the Black Knight.
Fuck, okay.
Wait, shit. Right. I don't know if you can actually, like, I think if I give you that, because the only way you could play that would be on emulator, and you might struggle with like configuring your controls.
Is it a Wii game?
It is a Wii game with motion controls, and you can technically set your controls to like buttons, but then I would have to literally sit there and like set it all up with you and all that stuff. Okay. And so how about you? I really don't have anything. I'm stretching.
Just pick a different Sonic game.
Well, I'm thinking it's so hard.
Why don't you ruminate on that as I assign GC some
Yes,
homework?
please do. Please save me from this hell that I have been forced into.
GC, do you like strategy games?
Yes, I do.
Do you like hard video games?
Yes, I do.
I'm gonna assign Heroes of Might and Magic 2.
Oh, okay.
Have you played the Heroes of Might and Magic games?
No.
This is a DOSBox game. I'm gonna give you access to my GOG account because that's the only way you can play this game now. It's a very, very old hex grid, turn-based strategy game.
Fuck
And
yeah.
I want you to do 3 story missions if you can.
3 of them?
3 of them.
That sounds easy. I can do
You
that.
can pick whatever faction you want to be, good or evil. Anybody that's from my community that's listening to this just knows that I sentenced you to die.
GC never gets a break.
Little known fact about GC, he loves 4X games and he loves strategy games and he loves throwing his head at a brick wall to solve a problem. So I think I'm built for this. Gotta be honest. I think I can do
you're him?
this. I think I can do this.
You know what, GC? I gotta be in a call with you while you like do one of these missions because the AI in this is insane.
Okay.
It's like you'll see.
I can't
Cullen,
wait to
be
do
glad I
this.
didn't give it to you.
Oh, I would have played it for like a minute and then I would be like, that's dumb, and then I would have given up. So fair enough.
I can't wait to do this and then in the call be like, I wasn't made for this. I'm not built for this.
I'm
This
not
is
him.
me.
I'm not him. I'm not him.
Okay, so that's your homework for me. I know what I'm assigning Cullen. Cullen, as always, it seems like GC's going to be lowballing everybody. Not lowballing, softballing everybody for the remainder of this podcast's tenure. I think I'm just giving everyone easy homework. I don't have anything difficult. But this is something that this is like a gift. I'm giving you a gift.
See, that's why I like you, GC, is I feel like whenever you ask me to play something, it's like a personally picked out gift. Like we had you had me on the gift exchange, and then you actually sat and you thought. I was like, well, I want to make Cullen's Christmas special. I want to actually I want to give him something to make
like
him smile.
that actually. It's not the kind of I believe a gift is something a person wouldn't get themselves, but it's something they would enjoy.
Yeah, that's exactly what I just said.
Right, sure. And I think what I want you to do, now that you can do that because of Steam's new family sharing plan, I want you to play The Last Remnant.
Yes!
Ooh, don't mind if I do. I just downloaded that on my Switch recently. Oh yeah, don't. Okay, you're getting awesome homework, Kazuma, but I don't think that you'll appreciate it.
Oh, I mean, I'm a hater, but I appreciate everything I hate, so.
Well, thank you, GC.
Yes, I want you to play The Last Remnant, and I want you to at least get to a point where you can do side quests. And I don't mean the side quest that's mandatory.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, that's what I want you to do. And I want you to report back with your findings. You're a Saga fan. You'll probably like this. It's made by the Saga people.
Most likely, yeah.
There you go. That's my homework to you.
Kazuma, play Evergrace.
Evergrace?
Yep.
Do we have it on Steam?
Nope. PS2 game.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I'll do it then.
I'm not telling you shit.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I can't wait to, just experience a game. So
some people listening are going, oh, I see Cullen as they swish their wine glasses around. Oh, daring, bold taste there.
It'll pull me out of playing more Assassin's Creed, so.
You might get filtered, or you might see the soul. No matter what, you're in for an experience, and that's all you're getting.
As long as it's not Infinite Undiscovery, I'm good.
Yeah.
I don't think there's anything like Evergrace.
Okay.
Well, I guess there kind of is. It's a FromSoft game, so.
Oh, okay. Is it kind of like
King's Fieldian in a couple ways?
Well, so I really liked one of their games. It was a PS2 game. It was it was something Ring, Eternal Ring or something.
I have not played that, so I'm not sure.
Oh, I love that game. I like a lot of the weird old From games. I'm actually a huge fan of that era of From Software. So maybe I will like Evergrace.
You might. If you have the heart, you will.
I have the heart. I have the soul.
feel like we're all different kinds of teachers. Like Kaz is like here's Heroes of Might and Magic 2, which is basically like it's like write me a 4,000 word essay, right? It's like okay, but you have 2 weeks to do it. It's like okay, all right, okay, that's hard, but I can do it. And then I'm like, hey, we're gonna do a really fun activity, okay? We're gonna have a great time. And Cullen is like, I'm not telling you what the homework is, but it's due tomorrow.
No, perfect metaphor though, but I would like to imagine I'm the teacher that shows up hungover on a Monday and then like dims the lights and drags out the CRT and lets the kids just watch a movie.
Today we're watching Balto.
Yeah, like today we're watching Balto. Fucking write an essay about it. Teacher, it's math class. I don't fucking care. Shut up. Watch Balto.
What was your go-to like in high school? Like, what was the movie that teachers would like pedal out whenever they didn't want to teach? For us, it was National Treasure.
Oh, I definitely watched that once or twice. There wasn't a lot of consistency for me, because I think by the time, because I'm much younger than my two elderly co-hosts, so by the time I was like finishing up high school, that just kind of like happened less and less.
Mm-hmm.
I gotta really like ramp up my insults. I'm like, no one even reacts anymore. My edge is dulling.
My school's movie, or like when I was growing up, the movie they would always play was The Page Master.
I thought you said The Patriot. I was like, damn, GC, where did you go to school?
Yeah, fuck yeah, do it again, rip that guy's head off. Fucking, these are the rowdiest third graders I've ever heard.
Wait, does somebody get their head ripped off in The Patriot?
I have no idea. I've never seen that movie.
I've seen it once, but I really wasn't paying attention. I just know that Mel Gibson can't act, so...
Mel Gibson just sort of screams that entire movie, I'm pretty sure.
As he does with most of his performances.
And that's between him and God, but... Sorry. If you know, you know. So yeah, in the gaming sphere, so do you want to talk about what's going on, all these studio closures?
Well, we could.
Yeah.
Or,
yeah?
I could talk to you guys about Sonic the Hedgehog.
Oh shit, yeah, please talk about Sonic.
We kind of ran by that as if Sonic would run by Dr. Eggman and his nefarious things.
Please go do Sonic talk.
So what I'm doing to set the scene a little bit to the audience is I have a mic arm on my desk that I can pivot up and down on the Y-axis and the X-axis. So what I have done now is I have pivoted it up and I have stood up. So I am actually standing right now as I prepare to recount the last couple weeks of my life. I sound good? Everything sound pristine and good, gamers?
Yeah.
Yes.
So, I'd say about 2 weeks ago, I was experiencing some RPG burnout on levels I don't think I've seen in a very long time. I wrapped Unicorn Overlord. I wrote about it, all that stuff, and then I was kind of just thinking, I don't know if I want to play any other RPGs for a bit. I'm just burnt. And I kept trying to like cycle through them, and there were a couple that I played for a little bit and I was like, okay, it's whatever. This one's fine. Like just seeing all these good games that like Rebirth or Persona 3 Reload, all these really good games, and I just couldn't get into any of them anymore. I was just so like stressed and burnt, and it sucked so hard.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know what caused this exactly. I mean, well, I got a Dreamcast recently with all like the upscaler, like the proper cables and everything I needed, like a SCART cable, so I get that looking at like 480p upscale to like 1440p. I think both of you have been on call with me when I've been streaming some like Dreamcast games, and what a system. Like the one thing everyone told me as soon as I got my Dreamcast was like, you got to get Sonic Adventure 1. And I was like, okay, I mean, like, fine. I'm not like, I grew up with Sonic, but I'm not like a Sonic guy. I started playing like Sonic Adventure 1 and 2 kind of back to back.
Mm-hmm.
And I was getting really into it. And I wasn't sure why. Like, suddenly that I really just wanted to play Sonic the Hedgehog. Because I was like, initially I was thinking, well, maybe I'll play some platformers because those are simple. It's nothing like, really emotionally taxing. You can just enjoy yourself, not worry about it too much. So I started playing some Sonic, and I was like, oh, Sonic Adventure 2. That's like, this is some swagged out shit. This is some real supreme swag. There's so much swag here. Sonic's really cool. All right. And then I started playing like the Sonic Adventure 2 randomizer, and I was getting into that. And then I started playing Sonic Adventure 1, and oh my God, Sonic Adventure 1 might be one of the best platformers of all time. Who here has played Sonic Adventure 1?
Me.
I watched it. I watched a friend play it.
GC, what do you think about Sonic Adventure 1? I need like the audience to get the sane man's take on this before the mentally ill man's take on it.
Let me make sure. Sonic Adventure 1. Does Sonic Adventure 1 have multiple routes?
Yes. Every character has their own unique route. There's Sonic, Tails, Amy, Omega. I think that's it.
Big the Cat and
Knuckles. Big. Yeah. And also, before anyone comes at me, I meant Gamma, not Omega.
I just know Amy's theme, and that's really good.
All the music, I'm getting ahead of myself. I'm not like unleashing, like I'm holding, the floodgates are holding everything back right now.
Let it go, gamer. Just unleash it.
Oh my God, Sonic has such good music, and Sonic is my friend, and Sonic makes really good games, and Sonic is like really good, and Mario is stupid as fuck, and Mario 64 is kind of like a boring ass game for dumb baby idiots, and Sonic Adventure 1 kind of like revolutionized the genre with so much confidence and how to like have 3D platformers work. It's kind of amazing how like Mario 64 is like training wheels, and Sonic Adventure 2, which Sonic Adventure 1, which only came out a little bit after, is just so fucking insanely cool in its scope and all the different things you get to do. But sorry, GC, Sonic Adventure 1, what do you think about it?
You said a lot of things.
I sure did. I'm a Sonic the Hedgehog fan now, I think, 100%.
I think Sonic Adventure is a neat game. I like Sonic Adventure 1 well enough. I played all of it on the director's cut on GameCube, which is, some people would say, is the inferior way to play, because apparently the GameCube version of that game has like some issues.
It's really not great.
Yeah, but I liked it well enough. I think it's a fun time. I can't believe you said that about Mario 64 in comparison to Sonic Adventure. I think Mario 64 is very good in a very fundamentally different way.
Oh yeah, for sure. Like the realistic take, like the actual grounded, sane take is that Mario 64 is a very good game.
But yeah, I mean, I don't remember much about playing Sonic, so you go ahead.
You have this little guy. You have this tiny little man, this little blue hedgehog, and there is a single button that you can press and hold to get him into a little ball, and then that ball catapults himself over geometry and shoots him in directions you will never imagine. And then you, like, once the movement possibilities of Sonic click into place with Sonic Adventure 1, you go, oh my God, the sky's the limit. You can point yourself, like, you imagine, like, because you guys know how a Sonic game works. You see like a bunch of like loop-de-loops and geometry and platforms, and you know that, right? I don't need to explain the core of Sonic.
No.
You're just saying that, so I explain the core of Sonic.
No, I'm saying you don't have to explain the core of Sonic.
Oh, okay, good.
Go fast, core of Sonic.
Yeah, well, but like a Sonic stage. So like in Sonic Adventure 1, you'll see like a bunch of platforming things, and then you'll maybe see a little ramp, and you look at that ramp and you go, I wonder if I hit that with enough speed, if I could jump over that entire block of the level. And then the game will just be like, yeah, man, do it. If you thought to do it, then do it. Just fucking skip shit. Do whatever. And so much fun of Sonic Adventure becomes, okay, so I have this one movement option. What can I do with it? And then just spinball dashing yourself all like different ways and trying to do things as fast as possible. And it's just so fun. And it's really baffling that a bunch of people said that Sonic had a rough transition to 3D, because Sonic Adventure 1 is one of the best games ever made. It's so fun, and it has so much energy and ambition. And then from there I said, okay, wait. So I'm looking at Sonic Adventure 1 and I'm seeing all these things. What about all the other Sonic games in the 2000s era that immediately followed that and then tried to build on that?
Buckle up, listeners.
And then I just started downloading a bunch of Sonic games. I got Sonic in the Black Knight. I got Sonic Unleashed. I got Shadow the Hedgehog. I just downloaded Sonic Heroes. I bought a physical copy of Sonic 06. I own Lost Colors. That game is not that good. And I'm just like, I'm playing these games and I feel like I'm a kid again. It's a super overplayed, like, metaphor to be like, oh, it's like the Ratatouille guy and he's sitting at home. He's like, oh my God, my childhood. I used to eat dirt soup or whatever. And then I'm just like, oh my God, though. But like Sonic's kind of always been cool and good. And there's something so earnest about a 3D Sonic game that just fills my heart with warmth. And because I've said on the podcast before, one of my favorite things about a game can be is earnest. I can forgive a lot about a game if it is like really caring about what it is solely trying to do. Another thing I've been doing since I just recently fixed my PS2 is I got like Dirge of Cerberus.
Mm-hmm.
And that is a game that I've been enjoying immensely because it is so earnest in the weird, gloomy story it is trying to tell that I don't give a fuck about any minor gripes I have with the game because I'm so like invested in how much you can tell the creative team cared despite not being able to back up like a lot of the very specific third-person shooter chops that were required of it.
Mm-hmm.
But with Sonic, I'm looking at all these like 3D Sonic games and I'm going, oh my God, these people cared so much about what they were doing. And we really don't get that as much anymore. We're kind of getting back up there with Frontiers. But I've been like, again, I'm playing all these games. I literally kidnapped GC, put him in a room, and like made him see me play all of Sonic 06 on Twitch. And there was this beautiful, magnificent experience of GC being on a call with like 4 people who actually really like Sonic 06, including myself, and him being the only person to be like, this is just a bad video game.
You are reducing my conversation to something very minute and very silly. I did not say this is just a bad video game. I made the effort to be like, hey, but what about this? Like, don't you think that this is kind of weird? Like, look at that. That's kind of off.
I'm talking about where you were at the end and a little bit of the beginning where Kazuma, I think, popped in. Yeah, Kazuma raided us. And the first thing GC said only an hour in was, help, help. As Sonic was glitching out through like a wall and we were laughing and giggling, not like in a mean-spirited way, but we're just like, oh, it kind of does that sometimes and it's cute.
Yeah, it's cute when my child throws up on themselves.
I mean, what else are kids supposed to do?
Not throw up.
They literally do that. It's a feature.
Babies, maybe.
I throw up all the time. But so again, I've just been playing these Sonic games and I guess I should probably go in like some kind of structured order. But I think, I think right after I was done like playing like SA1 and 2, I started going to like 06 and like Unleashed and Black Knight. And I was playing Sonic 06 and I was just, I talked about this last time, but I really just have started to appreciate the PS3 aesthetic. Maybe it's nostalgia, maybe it's whatnot. I don't know what it exactly could be. I haven't done that much soul searching, but I was seeing all these like things and problems with this game, and I was just feeling nostalgia, and I was really just digging it. This time, I was actually playing the game pretty good because, like, while that game has problems, it is so much easier to encounter them when you are playing the game in a way where you are looking for all of them and not listening to how the game is asking to be played.
Mm-hmm.
Because I feel like a lot of the like issues with 06 that you'll see in like videos and stuff just kind of came from that era of like, you know, because like Game Grumps would play and be like, oh, this is really dog shit. And when Aaron Hansen plays anything, you know that like you're about to get a not accurate portrayal of how the game is meant to be played. But Like, and I'm playing this game and I'm like, oh, I remember as a teenager playing this and like also being like, oh my God, Sonic fucking fell off a platforming section. This is dog shit. And then as an adult, I was just playing the game, trying my best, and then not having a lot of the issues you'll often find when people complain about like some of the stuff in 06. But 06 is just a fun time. Like, it's not a perfect game. It clearly has a bunch of bugs and issues, but it is okay to like Sonic 06. You can enjoy Sonic 06.
I think the issue with Sonic and people being the way they were about it is that people were not willing to engage with Sonic as what it is.
Nope, not at all.
It's yeah. I think that happens with a lot of games, and I'll be honest, sometimes I'm like guilty of that where I'll like engage with a game in a way that the game is not meant to be engaged with. I guess it's how you say it. I don't know. And I think with Sonic is that people didn't choose to engage with what it had become, were hostile towards what it was. And as a result, you had it. And this is, I don't mean to talk shit on anybody that used to work for magazines back in the early 2000s, mid 2000s. But when you have a bunch of adult, grown men playing a game made for kids that they grew up playing and it's different now, they're gonna feel a way about it.
Oh,
And
yeah.
that's gonna impact how like their review scores. Like when I reviewed Kingdom Hearts 3, I was like, oh, this is definitely not for me anymore, but I need to engage with what the game is and what it's given me, despite it not me no longer being its target demographic, right? And I feel like Sonic really wasn't given that chance because game criticism back then was just very like, don't like game shit. That's it.
You're absolutely right. It's a lot of people wanting Sonic to be Mario, to be these like safe, polished experiences, where Sonic has kind of always just been this experimental game series where they're always trying new things and they're always engaging in like different kind of gameplay styles, and the stories are like wildly ambitious. I feel like we're so used to like Sonic Adventure 2 and how weird that game gets, where we don't stop and think like, wait, for the time this came out, Sonic Adventure 2 was doing a lot of really weird, new, cool things with like platformer storytelling. And there's so much like earnestness to like the lore of that like little period of Sonic games that pretty much falls off a cliff as soon as you like get to like 2010, like around the like Colors. Oh, I said Lost Colors earlier. Lost World and Sonic Colors, two very safe kind of generic Sonic games that were just trying to not challenge people in any meaningful way.
Yeah, and I imagine that was because Sega was not in a great financial spot at that time.
Which is a bummer, because you look at the Sonic games that came out like right before that, and they're all so interesting and they're trying so many things. Like Unleashed is really neat, where they try like they have, that's where the I always call it like the rush gameplay. I think it's instead called like the dash or boost gameplay, where you're really just fucking, it's all about speed and you're going like on a linear path and trying to like, you know, get it done as fast as possible. You have that Sonic stuff, which is pretty iconic. And then you have, in addition to that, you have this like action game combat with the werehog. And like, I know it's like, yeah, the stages last too long and it's not perfect and there's some like problems, but it's just neat to see that they tried to do that with Sonic while also having this like globe-trotting like story structure where they basically made like another Sonic adventure game with just that was just a little bit different. And it's really cool to see that. Sonic and the Black Knight is this really cool, it's kind of like I don't know how to describe this. They kind of like limited your movement a bit more in the Wii games, where it's a bit more like linear and you don't have as much options, but like they gave Sonic a sword. And the whole thing is like Sonic is in like King Arthur times, and King Arthur is an actual villain, and all like King Arthur's knights are Sonic characters like Shadow and like Blaze and Knuckles. And you're seeing these like this period done as if it were like a Sonic AU almost. And it's really fun because in that particular era of Sonic, they were like, what if Sonic was friend-shaped? And all of the Sonic stories will just be about Sonic like helping a traumatized person out, deal with their grief, and then moving on.
I can hear how happy this makes you, by the way.
It does make me happy, and I don't know why. I don't know why all of a sudden I was like, I gotta play Sonic. I gotta play Sonic. It's like the music is something that's so fun and exciting. Crash 40 goes crazy. Like the games are just fun. Sonic stories are actually pretty all right if you don't have a bitch in your ear telling you they suck.
This is your Lords of Shadow 2 moment. This was me
Yes.
after playing Baldur's Gate 3 and Final Fantasy 16, and I was like, I am not playing anything I actually enjoy. Why don't I play this thing that I potentially maybe hated at one point in my life? I was very not happy with it and didn't like it. And now I'm in love with it. And it's from that similar, like, weird, janky PS3-ish era. So,
Yeah, it's
yeah.
absolutely that. It's just something that's so different than a lot of the games I've been playing lately. Because with that era of Sonic, you can tell that they were just really just trying stuff. And they were having all these really fun stories be told in like with this. And there's so little cynicism of this era of Sonic, where it's like you could tell they didn't always have like the budget they needed, and Sega kind of like fucked over a lot of like the dev teams who worked on Sonic games, trying to like get, you know, mandates and money, and they were trying to slowly but surely make Sonic more safe. But up until that point, the 2000s era of Sonic is so just weird and fun. And I really think a lot of the reason why we have people say that like, oh, Sonic had a rough transition to 3D or whatnot is just because people just didn't want to engage with any of these games on their own level. And if you actually do, you will see a bunch of games with a lot of heart and soul that just have so many neat spins on platformer mechanics and storytelling. And Sonic is my friend, and I like him very much. And it makes me happy when Sonic is on screen, because he is a fun character to just like control and just see like him engage with characters. It's so weird. Like Sonic's stories, there's nothing like them. Like you'll see a Mario story and Mario's like, oh, whoa, and then he just does the jumps and the platforms. But like fucking Sonic and the Black Knight, Sonic spawns into King Arthur world with 2 chili dogs, and then he's like, whoa, this is a bit fucked. And then he eats the chili dog and he kills all the bad guys. And then he gets a sword. He's like, I guess I'll help King Arthur. And he's like, hey, don't cry. Everybody dies eventually. It's okay to move on. Nothing can last forever. And I'm like, you're right, Sonic. You're so correct, little guy. Sonic's a little guy.
Well, I'm glad he's a little guy that's inspired you to feel good.
I'm a big guy. He didn't inspire me in that way.
Yeah, big guy with short guy energy or something?
No, I'm just a big guy with big guy energy, big tall man, big tall man. But I'm still playing Sonic games. I'm like just enjoying this, like both these games I played as a kid, because I really loved, like I was a Sonic kid growing up, and then I fell off. And then in that kind of like 2010s era, I was like, oh, Sonic is so cringe. And like Sega was like, yeah, Sonic is cringe, isn't it? And I'm like, yeah, it sucks. And Sega also, like, Sega's kind of like handling of Sonic in the 2010s was so weird. It really felt like they were trying to like move away from that earnestness. And that kind of also did not help public perception of a lot of these like games, where everyone like looks back on that earnestness and be like, that was cringe and dumb, wasn't it? But like, we're in a post-cringe era. Stuff cannot be cringe anymore. Like, you can just play Sonic and enjoy it. I'm going to do that after this call. I'm going to go play more Shadow the Hedgehog, the game that inspired me as a little baby boy to start saying fuck words.
Yeah, can you please regale us with that story?
Sure. Me, as a little boy, played Shadow the Hedgehog a little bit at my friend Matt's house growing up. And Matt always had Matt had parents who would just buy him whatever he wanted. And my parents were a lot more strict. So he definitely got on that whole like Xbox 360 shooter era a lot sooner than I did. And so me, with someone with very strict parents, pretty much only had Sonic games to kind of be like those. 'Cause Sonic games are just like really like weird in a lot of ways, and they kind of fuck with genres a bit. And Shadow the Hedgehogs was just edge. It was just edge and like kind of grunge, and it was this like dark take on Sonic. And me as a kid had never seen anything like it, like ever. I didn't know you could do that in a video game. I think one of the first video games I ever actually controlled, ironically enough, was like GTA, but I like picked up the controller for like a second and moved around. I was like, that's weird, and then I stopped. But like I remember like seeing my friend play Shadow the Hedgehog, and I was like, this seems really cool. And I told my mom at the Blockbuster we typically went to, I was like, can I get Shadow the Hedgehog? He's like Sonic, so it's okay, it's for kids. Even though it said like E10 and up, and he had a gun on the box. And she was like, well, I guess it's Sonic, so it's fine. I was like, yay! And so I boot up Shadow, and he's like really like brooding, and it's like this, like the whole aesthetic of the game is really dark and tinged, and it's really neat. Like, and again, I'm describing this from the perspective as a kid. We can look at this now and be like, oh, that's a bit overly edgy and weird. Why is it doing that? But like, you have to imagine, like, as a kid experiencing Shadow the Hedgehog, it just kind of did things to my brain. Because I had never seen anything be like that. And then when Shadow goes like, where's that damn fourth Chaos Emerald? I was like, you can do that? You can just say that in a video game where you also shoot people with guns? And so I remember this Friday night when I had first like played this rental copy, like my door was closed, my parents were downstairs watching a movie, and I look around and I pop my head out the door for a second, see the movie still going. And I close it and I just whisper to myself, damn. And I go, oh my God, rules can be broken. We can actually just do whatever we want. You can cuss, and your parents can just never know about it. That's amazing. So I really appreciate Shadow the Hedgehog for inspiring me to start swearing as a child. And no other game can have that designation, because Shadow's that guy, and he will always be that guy.
He's that bitch.
He is that bitch, and that is why, despite Shadow the Hedgehog being a very strange game, very weird to play game with a lot of like small little issues, I will always appreciate that game for many reasons, because there was nothing like that when I played it as a kid. And while I super get like the need to be like critical about the stuff we enjoy, there's this certain thing about like Sonic games of that era where it's really hard for me to do that. And it's great because I don't have to be critical about those games. I'm not like, it's not my job to objectively quote unquote criticize Sonic games. I'm just playing these games and enjoying them. And it's been a lot of fun.
I also think regarding like criticism, and with Sonic specifically, like, because Sonic is so earnest, when you engage with it critically, it's not like I'm having to read the intentions of Sega and then ask Sega about war crimes, right?
Yeah.
Because it very much, Sonic on the surface, very just like, it is what it is, TM. And I think from that standpoint, it's probably just like really something very fun to engage with.
It is.
You're just like, I just want to, just want to say damn when my parents aren't home.
Yeah, like it. And again, I keep saying it, but it's that earnestness that's so interesting about it. Like I think you can see a lot of videos, like video reviews on Sonic games, and Sonic is a very fun series to discuss because you cannot talk about Sonic without putting somewhat of yourself into your work. It's like you're exposing a bit about you just to engage with this thing.
So on that note, which Sonic character is involved in insider trading?
Rouge the Bat.
Okay. GC, your opinion?
Big.
No, he's not.
Big.
Big is just fishing. He's hanging out.
Yeah, fishing for trade secrets.
For passwords.
Fishing for passwords.
Oh my God.
But I genuinely recommend everyone just go play Sonic Adventure 1 and then pretend like you're in the 90s and play a game through that lens. Ignore everything that came afterwards and just play Sonic Adventure 1 as if you would never played any of those, as if this was like the first, like as if it were a brand new game. Play all of them like that, honestly, genuinely. And just like try to like, it's a fun like thought exercise to put yourself in. That's why I try to play, like how I try to play a lot of old games, is just with that perspective of like, this is how this was when it came out. And because hindsight kind of muddies a lot of that stuff in seeing sequels and iterations, but no, like just play these games, like just hang out. They're very fun games to just to just like hang out with.
I can't wait to assign you Lords of Shadow 2 next week.
Oh fuck, I don't want that.
Too bad.
I don't want that at all.
You're getting Wi-Fi time.
Then you're definitely getting a Sonic game once I can figure out one that you could play and not somehow set your computer on fire on by messing with config settings.
Oh, it is. We'll see what happens. Maybe something more torturous next week.
I hope I came off as the rabid new Sonic fan that I definitely tried to be. Yeah, no, now I'm listening to Crush 40 music. I'm fucking I watched the first Sonic movie. I downloaded some Sonic games for my PS2. I'm just all in and appreciating this era of games that I missed because I basically stopped playing Sonic games after like Shadow the Hedgehog because
Mhm.
for a while I just didn't have like the systems that could run these games,
Yeah.
and I just I got interested in other things, and so it's really just made me like not give a fuck about like how boring a lot of like Mario games of that era really are. Like, and I know that sounds crazy. Like earlier, I said like Mario 64 is a dumb game for dumb babies, and like a lot of that's exaggeration, but it's Mario. Like I haven't seen the Mario movie. Have you guys seen the Mario movie?
No.
It's fine. It's for kids. It's like family
Exactly.
friendly, right? It's yeah. Okay, the Mario movie is it's very like by the numbers, like family friendly movie, and Sonic the Hedgehog is a movie made for kids with ADHD.
Oh yeah, and for those who don't know, I definitely have ADHD. But like, I don't want to go see a Mario movie because like Mario is not a character. Mario does not have character traits. He is a guy who jumps, and that's it. Whereas like Sonic is legit fun to see on screen. You probably wouldn't think that if most of your Sonic experience was just the games that came out in 2000, like the 2010s. Like a lot of like older Sonic games, he's just this like chill guy. He's just like he has a lot of Sonic is basically Sonic does have ADHD more or less. But as someone who also has ADHD, it's fun to just see that little guy go into little adventures and make his little quips, and he's like approach problems in unique ways. Like if you play Sonic and the Black Knight, like you'll get like Excalibur and whatnot, and someone's like, "Wait, are you gonna like go take out King Arthur with this? That's the king. What are you doing?" And he's just like, "Well, I can't always be the hero." And you're like, "That's Mario could never. That's my little guy right there."
Mario go woohoo, and that would be it.
Yeah, and that's fine.
Yeah.
It's just that like Mario games are for neurotypical people and Sonic games are for cool neurodivergent people. And it's a very important distinction. So,
See, I've just never played either, except for like Sonic Adventure 2 Battle, and that was it
that
for
game's
me.
so cool. That game is so dang cool.
I've played a lot of both actually, and I yeah,
Daywalker.
They're great.
Daywalker, Blade. Are we talking about Blade?
I wear a special ring. It prevents me from burning.
Oh
in
my
the sun.
god.
Oh, the Vampire Diaries.
We've also been watching more Vampire Diaries.
I was out. I missed it. I gotta catch up.
It's pretty good. I guess to cap off Sonic talk, with a bit of a curveball. It's wild. I only specifically am really getting into 3D Sonic. I think 2D Sonic's kind of boring. And it's really interesting to see the opinions of like 2D Sonic fans, like kind of just hating and thinking like the 3D Sonic games are really cringe because they're like so wildly different and they're trying to have more of a personality instead of just simple 2D platform. But I just don't fuck with them. I don't know.
See, I have no stake in that game because while I did have a Sonic game at home, it was again very like Baldur's Gate and Diablo for me growing up, and like Eye of the Beholder on the Sega Genesis or whatever. So I'm just like, Sonic, go fast,
He sure does.
and that's it, And oh, Sonic is 3D now. Shadow looks really cool, and then
Shadow's so cool. Shadow's so cool. He's like my favorite. I like him. I like how he rides a motorcycle and shoots guns.
there was a period of time when like there was this artist on DeviantArt that was really popping off, and they drew these really cool character designs of like this guy with blue hair and this guy with like black and red hair and like athletic wear, like really cool athletic wear. And I was like, oh, what is this? And then I found they were Sonic Gajinkas. It was Shadow and Sonic, and this was like one of the most popular artists on DeviantArt for making human versions of those two characters.
I like Sonic and Shadow. They should definitely kiss and then make a video game about that.
Called Sonic X Shadow.
Generations comes out this fucking fall. Everyone get ready for me to be really not normal about that game.
Can't wait.
Hell yeah.
You know what else isn't normal?
What?
Or I guess is normal now,
Yeah.
unfortunately?
Yeah.
Layoffs in the games industry.
Oh man. Yeah, I think it's gonna be like another rough couple of years regarding that. I feel like this could be something we talk about every week because layoffs are kind of just like a
They're
constant.
just happening.
Yeah, this week, basically a studio got shuttered, Possibility Space, which it seems very messy because the studio closure was blamed on a Kotaku investigation of the
Ugh.
Which
studio.
was not yet published.
Yes.
And if I must say, if you were like if you're a listener to us and you were affected by the layoffs, I definitely do apologize that as soon as you thought we were about to get into that, I talked about Sonic for like 40 minutes. But just know that Sonic is there for you, and he hopes that you that everything works out.
Said Sonic the Hedgehog.
Sonic would also probably go just like, we don't need CEOs, kill them.
But yeah, other than like major studio closures, has there been like any big news in the industry this week? Because I think I want to talk about it last week that um GameStop is doing really poorly as well.
Unsurprisingly, considering the
Yeah.
industry continues to push for physical media to be phased out of existence, but also because GameStop itself is a terrible mess of a
Yeah.
company. It's like burning the candle at both ends, and the candle is consumer options.
Mm-hmm.
I really, really just like it's so hard to not be biased about
Yeah.
GameStop dying because I worked for GameStop for like 5 years and fuck that company. Like it would definitely suck if that people lost their jobs, but also there is a part of me that's just like, damn, this company kind of deserves to die. But also they're like the leading like physical game seller, so it's like I don't think another store would pop up in its place. I think that would just be a big major place that games are sold just
Mm-hmm.
dies and we get closer and closer to digital only.
Yeah, and Best Buy is no longer selling like physical goods.
See,
So
that's the weird thing about the Best Buy thing is I think they meant just movies. Because
okay.
you can just walk into a Best Buy and then go buy like look at a bunch of physical games. You can also walk into a Best Buy and find movies. So it's probably just like the excess stock, but you can definitely still just go buy physical media at Best Buy.
Okay.
You can't buy movies anymore. I know that one's for sure. They're getting rid of physical movies from their store shelves. But the last time I went into a Best Buy, all the movies were gone, but all the games were still there.
Yeah. I found movies at my local one, but again, I think it's just the excess stock.
Might be clearance.
Yeah, they're just like
Okay,
trying to get rid
yeah.
of. Well, the wild thing is none of it was on sale.
Oh.
Yeah, that was the other
It
thing.
was just full
at
price
Best Buy too.
like physical media for like movies and stuff. I'm like, are you sure you're trying to get rid of these? Because if I were trying to get rid of them, I would just put them all on sale.
We'll see what happens regarding that. I just think it's really fucked that we're losing options to keep media.
Yeah.
As we're sort of seeing like everything specifically in like this region of the world just sort of collapse in on itself, not just with games, but with streaming services as well. So it's going to be interesting to see where we are even like a year down the line, I think.
Just another friendly reminder that if you own physical media for games and physical media in general, please take care of it. And be aware that stuff degrades. If you're going to back up your media, make sure you back it up on 2 different devices, one of them off-site if you can.
Mm-hmm.
Always be mindful of that. Games preservation and media preservation is just going to be a fucking headache once they eliminate physical media. And I don't want them to. Like, there's such a place for it, and it really bothers me that we could probably we can probably come up with new versions of physical media. Like, in my head, I'm like, there is room for a new kind of physical media to be born, like beyond like Blu-rays, I suppose, right?
Mm-hmm.
And like, it bothers me that we aren't going down that route. one, because I want to be able to preserve things and like stuff like that, but like it's already so hard to do that now with games getting day one updates, games needing online service to play at all,
Mm-hmm.
games getting patches through those online services and stuff like that. Like we're increasingly becoming really dependent on the digital side of things, that I feel like even if we were to keep physical media, that physical media would be not worthless, but in some cases unusable
Obsolete.
or obsolete or dysfunctional.
That's one of the things that's always worried me about Blu-rays, how like some of them require like internet connections, is that it's like I know they do this to have like relevant trailers and stuff, but also I'm like, I
They
don't.
what? Excuse me, I've never heard of this.
Yeah, some like I think Disney Blu-rays do that.
Ew.
Yeah, like some like your Blu-ray player will like connect to the internet and stuff, and then try to pull like recent things. Like Disney did that a lot with theirs, and it's like I don't buy Disney Blu-rays, but
Get
knowing
out
that
of
that's
my
possible,
Blu-rays. I just want to watch the movie.
I'm also just equally worried that one day we're going to not have some like a purely like untethered physical media to watch and play stuff. It sucks.
I mean, we haven't had disk drives in our PCs for a hot second.
Yeah, it's true.
I'll be honest, I'm a bit of a hypocrite. I do kind of appreciate that. The only thing that sucks about it is that I can't easily like burn games for like my systems, but that is a pure like uniquely me problem.
Well, see, I think the issue here isn't like necessarily that digital media is bad. It's more
No.
that physical media is imperative to media preservation, and
For sure.
corporations don't really want to preserve media because it means they can sell you old media as new again, and you wouldn't have any other option but to pay that new price for that old piece of media.
Or promote like subscription services.
Or promote subscription services, which are another bag of worms. And it comes down to these companies wanting to reach into your pocket over and over and over again. And there doesn't seem to be a limit to what they do, and there aren't any regulations against what they do.
So, yeah. Sorry, listeners. I almost said readers, as though you can read with your ears. But isn't that not just listening?
Yes.
Yeah. For talking about this heavy topic, but from on to greener pastures. Do we have comments this week, Cullen?
We have one.
You have one?
Yeah.
Okay.
Sure, let's hear it.
Pretty good one.
Okay.
Sonia says,
Yeah.
good time of day when reading this parasocial podcast papas. The Atelier games, or Atelier, whatever you want to say, freak.
Yeah.
You were going to type in the comments like, oh, Cullen says Atelier.
It's Atelier.
Atelier.
Oh, it's actually Atelier. Oh,
Atelier.
my name's Kazuma. Pushes glasses up.
I did just push my glasses up. I'm so sorry.
Yeah, I bet you did it with like, the index finger, middle finger. You did it all anime like.
I do it from the side.
Oh yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Specifically the Arlen and Dusk trilogies were very fun to me during my teenage years and vital in discovering my gender identity. But almost every time I try to go back and replay, I can never manage to finish or make it very far in them. It feels like the law of diminishing returns is taken into effect, where the enjoyment I get out of them is no longer greater than the effort I put into playing them. My question for y'all is, are there any games that were very important or really fun to you, but for whatever reason are very hard to replay now?
Basically, almost any Final Fantasy game for me, just because they're so long and they require so much of my attention. I also got a Final Fantasy XIV question. I saw it on the YouTube comments.
Yeah.
'Cause I was gonna rag on that benchmark. The bottom line is I think that benchmark fucking sucks. My character doesn't look like himself anymore, and the skin textures are weird and whatever. Interesting that WoW has a growing player base, but that's neither here nor there. I think for me, it's definitely the Final Fantasy games when I think about them, because they're just so long, and getting to that point of really having your characters where you want to be can be really exhausting. And actually, some Resident Evil games I feel that way with, and I'm a really big Resident Evil fan, but there are some games where I'm like, oh, I just can't play that again. I just can't do that. And I think that's fine to feel that way about games. I think what that is a sign of, though, is burnout. and you to probably step away from what you're engaging with if you're feeling that way. Like those Resident Evil games that I feel that way about, I'm just not going to touch them for a couple of years, and I think that's fine.
For me, I think one of them is Shin Megami Tensei Nocturne. I've played the intro of that so many times on like trying to like reattempt it that at this point I just kind of can't vibe with it as much anymore. No, and it super has to do with Burnout, where it's like you, and also the expectations of like trying to have this like live up to the experience of that first time playing it, and then you know your expectations are a certain way, and you put pressure on yourself to make it so that like all of this is as good as you remember it being, and no, yeah, for sure, like that is a problem. I think it happens with me again as someone with ADHD so often where I'll be like, hey, I'm gonna like load up this old game I really love and I'll try to play it a little bit and just struggle to play more than like 30 minutes. I'm very much the type of person who, if I don't vibe with something within minutes, it's just I want to stop playing it altogether.
I find the concept of diminishing returns on playing a familiar video game fascinating because I've only felt it with two things. And that's the original Paper Mario on the N64 and more recently Stardew Valley. And I've been replaying Stardew Valley because the new 1.6 update came out and I'm playing a new game again. And I have, for context, I have 386 hours in Stardew Valley. I have a lot of time in Stardew Valley. And I've noticed that with this playthrough, I'm kind of like trying to come up with ways to make this playthrough different from the others, and I'm not really running into a lot of ideas, and I'm actually getting into roadblocks where I want to do something that I've already done, but I don't want to do the same thing again because I feel like it's not worth playing if I'm just going to do the same thing over and over again. And that is definitely what Kazuma was saying. It's definitely a form of burnout with something that you're playing. And I find that taking a break from like not just that specific game or media, but like things like it is always healthy and good. And it over time you will probably regain your appreciation for that sort of thing. And the diminishing return goes away, like that sense of like, oh, I'm squeezing blood from a stone at this point sort of feeling that will dissipate. As far as the original Paper Mario, the reason I get that feeling nowadays is because it's not as deep of a game as I would like it to be. It's not like the Thousand Year Door where it has way more depth. Like the Thousand Year Door I can play forever and ever and ever. But the original Paper Mario just isn't like that. And I think that sense of diminishing returns could be burnout, but it could also just be that the game itself doesn't really have
replay value.
Not replay value, but it's just it doesn't have the variety. It doesn't have the breadth of mechanics or narrative or whatever it is that constitutes going back to it. Some things are only meant to be visited once, in my opinion.
Dones,
yeah, some things you do it once, some things you do it twice, and on the rare occasion there are things that you do like 5 or 6 times, but that number is still ultimately finite.
Yeah, and I think a good way to view games is that they are an experience, and sometimes you will have like a once in a lifetime experience with a game. And I personally have a problem with viewing games as diminishing returns because then that veers into the conversation of like a game's value being based on X amount of hours spent with it, which I'm sure like Sonia, you're not saying that. It was just such a popular conversation when Skyrim had come out that this was the best game ever because you could play a bajillion hours of it. So therefore it was like the greatest thing to ever exist and therefore shaped industry trends where people wanted the most bang for their buck.
You know what Sonia did say though?
What?
This isn't to like segue out of this conversation, but something I noticed after you mentioned the YouTube comment. Sonia also asked the comment about made the comment about FF14.
Oh shit. Okay, Sonia. Well, okay.
Shout out to Sonia.
Yeah, thank you, Sonia, for the 2-parter. But yeah,
continue.
Yeah, but like regarding that, I think it's okay to have experienced something and then to set it down when you feel like you're having a problem coming back to it, even if you love it, because maybe that's just over. Maybe that is the last time you're going to play that game for a very long time or ever, and that's okay.
That's actually a perfect thing because like, yeah, I think 14 is exactly one of those games for me. Because I had my 13 arc and I fucking love that game.
Yeah.
And every time I tried to go back to do the post Endwalker patches, I
Mhm.
just don't have fun. And I
Yeah.
don't necessarily think it is anything with the game itself. The game did not change, but I considered my time to be over and I
Mhm.
just like I can't go back. Like I love like Shadowbringers and Endwalker, but my brain is saying we're done. We played
Yeah.
so much of this and I just we need something else. I and it's like I so want to be there like playing 14 with my friends and like enjoying it and like and doing raids and all this stuff and like cuz I had so much fun with it during the pandemic and I just can't anymore. And it does bum me out a lot. And I have a feeling that it might get bad enough where, like, when I see all my friends play Dawn Trail, I'm going to be like, oh, well, you know, maybe I'll be able to get it back. And maybe I'll just buy Dawn Trail and I'll just resub and I'll see what's going on. And then I'll probably just not play that much and then drop off or like let that sub continue to roll and roll and roll and roll. And it's so disheartening.
I think it is sad when you no longer or when you basically break up with a piece of media, right? But that's very
Yeah.
unhealthy, right? Because that involves a level of emotional attachment that a game is cultivating with you to keep you engaged. That is predatory. And if you feel as though you are having a breakup with a piece of media, just end it right there and do not look back.
Well, but here's the thing though, and I definitely
Yeah.
agree with a lot of what you mean, especially if we're talking about a live service game. But
Yeah.
there are like emotional connections you can make with games and like media, and you can keep that like in a healthy way. But like I do agree with you though that like feeling of like a breakup when you kind of just realize like this game, it doesn't need to be live service. It could just
Yeah.
be like an old single player thing that you go back to and you just realize like
You're not in love with it anymore. That's fine.
exactly. And
You don't love it anymore.
I think what could be unhealthy is your response to that.
Yes.
I think it is okay to feel conflicted that again that you need to break up with this old media, but yeah, and then like kind of how you focus that anger is kind of when things get unhealthy. But it's super common, especially because like you as a person will continue to like age and mature and like grow and change and it's like the things you really loved and appreciated before just won't age the same way or like they won't grow up with you and it's a lot harder to go back to those things and that's fine.
Yeah.
Like,
Didn't Sonia also ask like why I don't like 14?
yep, that was the other question.
Oh, hell yeah. Okay. So this will kind of go into the I wouldn't say breakup, but I guess like having felt a way about a piece of media and then having that change. So I should probably give a little background as to how long I've been playing 14. So I started playing 14 in 1.0. When the game was getting reboot, I wouldn't say I was like Tumblr famous or anything, but I was like a pretty decently sized influencer on Tumblr. And Square Enix back then had actually approached me about doing stuff for Deus Ex, and that's how I had a relationship with them. And then when 14 was getting relaunched in 2.0, they came to me and gave me the game and gave me 5 copies of the game so I could play with friends and game time. I was like, "Hey, does anyone wanna play with me?" Nobody wanted to play, right? So, I just played a little bit of 2.0, and then when Heaven's Ward rolled around, I was with Jake, and he wanted to be a dragon really badly. So we started playing together. And during that time, when I was doing like 2.0 and everything and all of that content and doing Heaven's Ward with him, I have over 2,000 hours in that game in Final Fantasy 14. That's a lot of time. I was doing progression rating, I was doing extremes, I was doing savage tier raids. And as I was playing it, I wasn't particularly, like, impressed with the story, like, everyone says it's, like, a super, super good game, and Cullen, I think you've experienced Heaven's Ward and you as well, GC. I was really just okay with it because my favorite Final Fantasy games are, like, Tactics and 12, and it makes me seem really arrogant when I say it like that. So when I'm engaging with Heaven's Ward and the baseline, like, narrative is, "History revisionism is bad," I'm like, "Well, yeah, no shit, buddy," like, I've played other Final Fantasy games that have a stronger narrative, like, thorough line than this and more conviction to what it's trying to say. Stormblood rolls around, and there's a very, very strong reaction and reception of that game from the Korean and Chinese audience. I was very lucky that a Korean person had actually taken the time to tell me, hey, I am no longer going to be engaging with this game because a lot of what's going on in Stormblood is very reminiscent of what the Japanese Empire did to us, but they're framing it as as the Japanese faction in the game being victim to the war crimes it perpetuated against Korea, right? And that's when I was like, "Oh shit, I really need to be interrogating this game more and how I'm engaging with." And I had a friend who's Chinese who also stopped playing around the part where you do the Nadam or whatever, where you basically go and beat an entire culture at their own like big cultural ceremony and then get them to fight in a war against Garlemald with you or whatever. It sounds fucked up because it is. You just got to really explain it in layman's terms to get people to understand how fucking weird this writing can be. So with that knowledge, I was given the opportunity for RPG Site to interview Yoshi P and ask him about some outfits that had made it into the game that caused a boycott in China and Korea. And those were outfits that closely resembled what Korean and Chinese people were forced to wear under Japanese occupation. He gave an answer that caused a stir in the community, basically implying that the Korean community and Chinese community had asked for those outfits. To the point, the official publisher of Final Fantasy XIV Korea released a statement saying that he had effectively lied. I continued to be very critical, and as someone who used to report on news and stuff, I would watch the live letters and translate things he would say in Famitsu. I would get kind of frustrated with some of his responses. Shadowbringers rolls around, and if you know my body of work, basically, like, I talk about pro-imperialist propaganda in Japanese media. That's kind of like my thing. I wrote a big piece about pro-imperialist propaganda in Ghost of Tsushima by the way of like veneration of Bushido and Kurosawa and shit. And Shadowbringers struck me a lot as sort of both sides propaganda, and that's very dangerous if you know anything about Japanese history. And with that knowledge, that led me to be very skeptical of what the writers were saying in that expansion and in Endwalker. By the time I had gotten to Shadowbringers, I was already pretty disillusioned with the game, and Endwalker really solidified for me that these stories that they want to tell in 14 are not for me. I don't find them particularly interesting. I find them super shallow. It's really funny as I was just like, yeah, Shadow the Hedgehog and Sonic sound really cool.
Well, they are, and they're actually like the smartest ever. And those games are far from shallow, and they're actually really cool.
Well, they commit to what they say, right? Like, I'm not gonna fucking play Sonic and have to be like, okay, did somebody say something fucked up in an interview, right? Like, just it's like a whole thing, but it isn't just that. Like, it isn't just me being very skeptical of like what the development team is like putting out and putting in their game, but it's also the game has changed so much from when I played it. Like, it's so simple now and so easy that there's too much class homogenization between like what each role can do that basically like I can't play summoner the way that I used to. I can't play white mage the way that I used to. I can't even play samurai the way that I used to. That was just a raw DPS class at one point. It's not fun for me anymore. I don't have an active sub unless if I'm getting paid to review it. I will probably not pick it up again outside of like what I've already completed, because for me, there is stuff there that just makes me so like physically exhausted to engage with that I am no longer interested in spending that time and exuding that energy when I could be playing Arno Dorian dress up in Assassin's Creed Unity and having a great time.
Mhm.
But that's the long and short of it. Now everybody knows that I'm a bastard who hates Final Fantasy XIV.
And fun, apparently. And you're evil.
Yeah, that's the thing, right? Like I talk about this game critically, and then like for some reason, like everyone thinks that I'm just like the biggest hater ever. When I'm like, I kind of met the developer face to face, and he kind of fucking lied to me.
Yeah,
And
also,
then
Kazuma is
yeah,
actually the smallest hater ever. Get your shit, right?
exactly. I'm like 4 foot nothing.
You are literally the littlest guy I
Yeah,
know.
yeah, but yeah, that's so sorry for dominating that conversation, but that's why I don't like Final Fantasy 14.
Hey, that's diminishing returns.
I wouldn't even say like I wouldn't say that I regretted my time with it or anything. I'm just like thinking about like When I think about how much time I put into that game and what that specific MMO like does to people, I think I definitely could have spent my time in a more conductive way doing other things than being logged in all the time, but I was also like unmedicated and like really, really, really fucking depressed.
Mhm.
And that's when MMOs can really get you like when you're at your worst. Now I'm playing World of Warcraft, but I'm not addicted to it. I'm just having fun and putzing around. And I have a much healthier relationship with online games because mine with 14 was like so fucking fraught. So there you go.
Fair enough.
Anyways, GC, if you get to Stormblood, I want to know how you feel about it because I feel like you and I sort of have like this sort of like similar.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
I have strong opinions on colonialism and imperialism.
I like the implication that I don't have strong opinions on colonialism.
You do, Cullen?
I know. I just think it's funny.
Yeah, you do. You're just definitely the more like when you talk about it, like you are definitely the more forward and more relaxed, whereas I feel like GC and I kind of do the dance around the pudding thing.
Well, my problem with Stormblood, despite the politics being really fucking weird, was just that game's fucking boring. It's so
14 is a very boring game.
Well, like I actually had fun in Stormblood and Endwalker. Stormblood is so boring.
You had fun in Shadowbringers, you mean?
What did I say?
You said Stormblood.
Oh, I did not have fun in Stormblood. That is correct. I never had fun in Stormblood.
Wait, so did you play Stormblood when it came out?
No, I played it all after 2020.
Oh my god, so that's why. So basically every time they update the game, they will literally remove skills that you would have had leveling up to then redistribute it to rebalance everything. So each previous expansion and job feels significantly worse as the game progresses.
Oh, I don't like that.
Yeah. Like, this is why this game is not fun anymore. Like, it's like, okay, I have to get my fucking skills back because they fucking took that shit away from me. Awesome. Like, or maybe my entire rotation has changed because they deleted 2 skills from the game.
I will say I really did like I like Gunbringer or Gunbreaker.
Yeah.
That's kind of just the class I stuck with. So if I do go back, it'll be interesting to see how they kind of change that, because it was a lot to get used to when Endwalker came out, all the little changes to that, but I still liked playing that. I just haven't been in, like, the MMO bug has not been there.
I'm excited to go back to FF14 at some point, relearn Monk since they change Monk all the time. Because
Monk is a different job every single
expansion. And then to do none of that and play more Mahjong.
I'm interested to see what you'll have to say about Dawn Trail, because it is literally you're going to South America and you are instating a political leader of your choice.
Oh, God. Okay.
Wait, did you not know about that?
No.
Okay, so basically, you have to do what you did in Stormblood, where like you have to participate in some competition to pick the leader of that fucking entire culture as like an outsider, which is, again, if you are listening to this, that is what you are doing in that section of Stormblood. You're the fucking CIA. But for this, it's you go down to they literally call it the New World, GC.
Oh.
And you go on a boat to get there, and you go to the City of Gold, like the literal City of Gold. Yeah. And then you are basically there to instate a leader of your choosing.
Yeah, that's not great. That's not great on a lot of levels. That's like multiple centuries of allegory there. There's many things that's like, okay, all right, okay. That'll
you
be
see
interesting.
Now why like I'm just like I don't fuck with this game.
Yeah, I probably wouldn't fuck with that either.
Yeah.
But yeah. Good questions. Good set of questions.
Good. Yeah.
Very good. Very nice.
I hope you find something that makes you happy, Sonia.
And I hope
in the way that those Atelier games did.
Hi, Sonia. You should play Sonic Unleashed. Please reply on the next episode if you have or have not played Sonic Unleashed, and then if you have not, reply that saying, "Hi, I just finished it and I really enjoyed it, and you're really smart, Cullen, and you're cool, and Sonic is my friend." That is correct.
Yes, we're all Sonic's friend.
I don't know. I think one of us in this call, at least one of us, is not really Sonic's friend.
Sorry, that's me.
I think he might pretend to be Sonic's friend sometimes, but says really mean things about him behind his back to Mario.
Is Sonic in the room right now with us?
No. Is that why you're going to start talking shit, GC?
Am I Mario?
Is that why you asked? So you could be like, yeah, I don't really care for him. But me, his best friend, would definitely go back and tell him. And he would be, Sonic would tell me in return, like in response, he wouldn't get like mad at you. He'd just be like, damn, that's kind of disappointing. I thought GC was better than that.
Are we still talking about Sonic right now?
Yeah.
I love how genuine that yeah is. Like, yeah, duh. Like, of course.
I mean, I wouldn't say that about you, but like I would also be disappointed that you would like say those mean things about Sonic to Mario as if you did not know that they had a history together.
I'm so lost on who when you threw Mario into this, like I just don't know. I'm trying to like piece together this like fake situation.
It's real. What are you talking about?
I don't know who the fake person is.
You're the person and you're not Sonic's friend.
Yeah, and I gotta say one thing to that. Woohoo! I guess I'm Mario.
Okay, I think you're both not Sonic's friend. And what actually is ended up happening is that you're both just like after the party, like after Sonic goes home, like Mario shows up and you're like, Mario, my boy. Sonic, I don't like his pussy. It does not like
What?
he is not serving. You, Mario, you're the coolest. I'm so happy that you're here, Mario. We don't care for Sonic. And then I overhear this and I'm like, that's really disappointing that my two co-hosts would say that behind Sonic's back. And then I go tell Sonic. And then again, Sonic is like, that's really disappointing. Both of them, huh? Well, you know, I hope they live and learn one day.
You've gotten way too into this new Sonic liking Sonic thing. You're already writing fanfic about it.
I just wish you guys were more respectful to Sonic. Because Sonic
Yeah, I really
didn't
like
say
Shadow.
Well, Shadow's not part of this right now, okay? Like, Sonic has nothing bad to say about either of you. Sonic would want you both to, like, live your best life.
I think I've played more Sonic games than you.
I don't think you have.
I think if we tallied it up, I think I've played more Sonic games than you. I think I'm the better Sonic fan.
So this will be my last episode of Burnout Culture. It's been real. The energy has gotten a bit too stagnant. Please join me in my Sonic podcast, Living With It. Comes out on the same day as this one, but it'll be way better and I'll have way more viewers. And Sonic's really cool.
And you heard it here, folks. Sonic here is really cool. Now, Sonic, do you want to tell everyone where they can find you?
I don't know. I'm not Sonic. What do you mean? Sonic's not here.
I'm
Again,
going...
that's why GC felt like it was okay to insult him behind his back, because he would never say that to Sonic's face. Because if he did, Sonic would just hug him and be like, it's okay, man. We can't all have good days.
My name's GC. You can find me at GC_Vasquez on Twitter. I'm GC Vasquez on Blue Sky. I'm GC Vasquez on YouTube. I'm GC Vasquez on Twitch. I recently put out a video on Like a Dragon Infinite Wealth. You can go watch that if you'd like. If I know we talked about it on the podcast a couple of times, so it's out now. You can go watch it. Anyway, moving on.
You can find me in hell. No, just kidding. You can find me at Kazuma, at Blue Sky, at Kagenaga on Twitch, and at JusticeKazi_ on Twitter. You can also find me in hell.
Kazuma's actually lying. I'm the one in hell. Don't look for me. That's it.
Yeah.
We're all playing Diablo. We're all in hell.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I'm like, you can't find my social media because I am in hell actually for real.
Oh, shit. Okay.
Yeah,
Well, they let you have a computer.
Yeah, you know. Well, actually, what I'm doing is I'm recording off of a lav mic setup, and I will mail the SD card it's recording from to GC's house. So if this episode's delayed, it's because it got lost in the mail.
Fair enough.
Okay.
Where can people find you?
No, I just said I don't have social media because I am in hell, and so don't look for me.
Okay, you can find him at Dr. Cullen PhD on Twitter.
That's what I went by when I was alive, but I am confirmed in hell right now. So
yeah, he'll be out of hell in a few weeks, so don't worry about it.
You can find Cullen on YouTube under Cullen.
Previously, you could find it there. Yes, the channel is dead because I did die and I am in hell. But you know, again, I'm working to get out of hell soon, and then maybe I'll use that YouTube channel again. But yes, no, if you thought I was dead, it is accurate. I got hit by a truck.
All right. Well, tune in next week, everybody, when we perform a satanic ritual and revive Cullen from the grave.
That would be really nice, and I would appreciate it. It is a bit toasty here, and I'm not fond of it.
All right, GC, I need you to bring a physical copy of Shadow the Hedgehog, and I think we can do this.
Yeah, sure, I got it. Physical copy of Shadow the Hedgehog, and then my best darkness voice.
So here's the thing.
Yeah.
It does need to be a PS2 copy of Shadow the Hedgehog. It is unfortunate. It is one of the weaker versions of that game, but the 30 FPS should allow the dark spell to take place. GC, can you give us a little taste of that Black Doom voice?
You want me to do it? Fine, I'll do it, but it'll be the outro.
Okay, sure.
All right, here we go.
Thank you for watching the podcast.
Wow, it's Black Doom. He's so cool.
Okay, bye.
Okay, bye, everyone.